Hello and welcome. This here, sitting on my lap and held securely in my hand, is a Bach Stradivarius 50B3 model bass trombone made in 1983. Now, as you can see here, it has two valves. These are rotary valves arranged in an independent manner, meaning you can use the second one independently of the first one, and it's connected to all of this tubing inside here. This trombone works pretty well as a practice instrument, but when I've gone to use it in a concert or in playing with an actual band, I found that it is quite restrictive when you use these two valves, or even just use one of the valves. I find that the range of different tones that I want to be able to produce, the experience of playing, everything feels constricted, and that I'm not able to use this instrument to speak in the way that I would like to, and certainly my other bass trombone, my King 7B, is a much better match for me, despite also using similar rotary valves. And my working theory for this is that this tubing here is all wrapped up upon itself. There are a number of fairly tight, sharp bends that we have here, some fairly tight 180 degree bends and things like that, and it is the extra resistance and back pressure from these valves, perhaps also joined with some of the probably insufficient technology from the 1980s, that causes this restriction to be experienced by me when I play this instrument. So despite being a professional level trombone from the 1980s, I don't actually tend to use this other than when I'm playing in my garage here. But I want to fix that. I want to change that. And to help with that, I was very fortunate that I recently met a man. And this man had a trombone of a similar age, but instead of it being a 50B3, it was a 50T3. The difference from a B to a T means that just simply means that instead of using rotary valves, it uses Thayer valves. Now, the Thayer valves are a different type of valve that are designed specifically to reduce the resistance, reduce the impact of all these bends and turns, and to have a much more smoother passage of air through the instrument. And so what I'm hoping to do today on Trent's Art and Crafts is to take the valve section, take these valves off this trombone and transplant them with the box of bits that this man sent me. If all of that goes wrong, I have the contact details of several professional instrument repairers that will hopefully be able to fix anything that I do, and because of that lifeline, and because this is just a practice instrument for me and it didn't cost me a huge amount of money, I'm hoping to at least attempt to do this myself. The first step is going to be to remove this valve section, so I shall get my soldering torch out and make a big mess. I hope you enjoy as you come along with this ride. Come along on this ride with me. After disassembling the instrument, I took the bell section, which is this bit here, and I have de-lacquered it. There were a couple of patches of red rot on the bell, so I have sanded them off and I have given the bell a bit of a satin finish, which appeals to me. It's not perfect, there are some bits around the edges here that I haven't done, and I haven't done anything on the inside of the bell. There was another patch of red rot in here, which I've sanded through as well, just to get rid of that. But I thought what we would do before I go any further is take a look at the box of bits that I have been sent. Now, the first thing that I saw was this. This is the bit that fits this way on the bell of the original trombone, and it looks like it was cut off with tin snips. So that looks pretty rough. However, I have the one from this trombone's originally, so that's going to go on the end there. and then you have the tuning slide, the main tuning slide that goes on the top there. He sent me a couple of tuning slides. We've got this one here, which looks to be not too bad. It's still lacquered. It's got a dent in the brace here, which I don't particularly care about. It's got another dent there. I'll be able to remove both this dent here with some dent removal tools that I recently bought. And I also have this tuning slide, which has got a really ugly brass patina on it. It's quite brown, as you will see. But it looks like it's been lacquered over, so it just looks weird. This one's got a reasonable dent there, which I will again be able to remove without too much fuss. The brace is fine, yeah, so neither of these neither of these tuning slides are going to give me any concern. They don't give me any concern anyway, because I also have the tuning slide that came off the donor one. Just notice that this isn't round here, so this might need a bit of action. So that's the main tuning slide. This is one of the tuning slides off the trigger section, and it looks to be fine without any issues. It might need to be straightened a bit, but that's about it. There's a small nick in there, which is barely enough to ever worry about. This is the tuning slide off the F valve. You can see that it is quite bent. This part here is clearly bent inwards, and there is a substantial dent here. Again, I think I should be able to remove this dent with my dent removal tools, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. This is the bottom brace that goes from the exit of one of the Thayer valves, and it goes up the side of the bell section as part of the F side. There's a dent in here, which shouldn't be too difficult to remove. I can see that so these screw on and off, and it appears as though these parts here have been just desoldered off wherever this connected to and on here loosely. This feels also loose in here, so there's going to be some remedial work required to get this up to scratch. This is another one of the pieces of tubing. There's just random bits stuck to this, which I'm going to have to see what to do with. But the main part of the arrangement is this. These are the actual Thayer valves, and they come off. This is the second one, and in my left hand and now in my right hand is the first one. They have the mini ball linkages, which is good. They actually actuate. It's a bit stiff. Well, not a bit stiff. It's a bit unlubricated, so that's not going to be too bad. It doesn't actually look straight. If I look at this along its edge, it sort of is bent slightly. So I need to do some work along that. But that otherwise looks fine. Having a look at the second valve, this again actuates fairly not too bad. Yeah, so this shouldn't be too bad. And then there are two braces here. But what I'm going to do now is just sort of dry fit it, lay it out in the manner that it needs to be roughly assembled in, to see whether at least all the components are here and whether there's anything major that I'm going to have to manufacture. So forgive the handheld nature of this clip, but I've got it sort of roughly dry fitted together. This brace in here, I'm able to reuse the old brace on the bell, and that goes to the donor section here. This part is going to need that dent removed before it'll fit in there. These tubes here obviously need to be soldered back together, and then we've got the two tuning slides for the F and the G flat valves up in there. The next thing I want to tackle is some of the dent removal, such as this dent that you can see in this tuning slide here. And so the way that we're going to do that is with some dent rods and dent balls. So I have a container full of threaded balls, such as this one. It's got a thread on the end of it, and what you do is you thread that onto the end of a dent rod. Now these are rods, you can get smaller handheld ones like this one, which you can also thread into a vise, or you can get this one, which is designed to go just in a vise. And so I thread a ball onto the end of it, and we stick that inside the tube, and we can massage the dents out from the inside. Now because this is this brass seems to be fairly strong, I'm not going to be able to do this just handheld, so I'm going to have to put this in the vise, so you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing, but hopefully you can see the progress that I make once I show you the end result. Okay, so that actually went pretty well. This is the tubing that I got the dent out of, and it's not entirely perfect, but it's I'm very happy with this, and I think this will be unnoticeable unless you sort of really run your finger over it and look closely. I noticed that the tubing is a little bit sort of elongated. It's not quite circular, but I think that that's sort of a crush, maybe a crush injury, and it's pretty consistent all round, so I'm not going to do anything with that. The other main dent that I wanted to remove and sort of fix up the circularity of the tubing was at the bottom here. There's a dent here, a fairly sharp dent there that I'm not going to really bother with, but the main one was that this tubing was crushed up in here, and that's now more or less okay. So I'm going to say that I'm happy with this, and yeah, this hole is now also pretty much round, so that's pretty much it. So I'm going to leave it there for this episode. This is going to be another one or two videos that I do about this conversion, but I'll be interested to get any feedback if anyone's got any suggestions of things that would make my life a little bit easier. So thank you very much for watching, and have a fantastic whatever period of time it is.